Hello and welcome to a video with me, Winner Android, where I'm doing another video for the weekly Android series I'm doing here. So, yeah, I'm kind of doing things a bit different this time around for this series, considering I'm changing up how I edit these videos. So I'm actually using more of the screen and everything. So, yeah, no browser in the background this time. Instead, it's just tons of stuff I'm actually editing, mainly just so I can actually use all screen and all that. So, yeah. Moving on here to talk about anime, and you can actually kind of see what I'm doing here. So, 86. The attack on the Morpho has begun, and yeah, they're using a massive plane to get to the Morpho, which can only fly a few meters off the ground, basically. Okay. And also, Vegeta doesn't want to lose anyone else that she basically considers family. So, yeah. Possibly stuck onto the plane. Maybe. Going out to wait into the next episode to see that. In which the next episode has been delayed once again. So we had to wait another week. So, great, I guess. Also, apparently, Ernst will destroy the world if Shin and the rest do not return alive. And from what I can tell, and what I've kind of gotten from discussions on Mal, is that Ernst has a very strong sense of justice, which is why if they do not return alive, he will destroy the world. Because he's basically, if they don't return alive, he kind of sees that he's failed his own justice, having kids die in this war. So, yeah. Moving on. Mieruko-chan, which basically just started off with a bunch of fan service. With the, I guess I'll call it a date she had with her little brother. Just the two of them shopping to get a gift for their mother. But may as well have been a date, considering. Yeah. But, after that, they're returning home on the train, subway. Of course, another monster. Which, from what I can understand, was basically hunting other monsters that are basically hiding within people that are on that train, I guess? So, eh. I honestly really don't understand the monsters in its anime and how they're different and all that. Because it's very clear that there's two different types of monsters, I guess. Considering you kind of have the holy ones, I guess, like that are at the shrine, and then basically all the others. It's like there's very clearly two different types of monsters, but I honestly just don't understand stand if how to judge if the monster's good or not still. So, but also after the whole thing with the train monster on the train, Miku, of course, gets off the train early because, yeah, needs new underwear because she beat herself, in which her brother is misunderstands as her period. So, okay. And then next part of the video, next part of the episode, in which they're Miku and Hana are talking to their teacher who's about to go out to maternity leave. So yeah, another monster, I guess, but I guess it's better to call it spirits, considering, yeah, the first unborn child that she had. Basically sticking around her, trying to protect his sibling, I guess. So yeah, nice little thing there. Bit bittersweet and everything. But with the teacher going on to maternity leave, they of course have to have a substitute teacher, which just happens to be Zen. A guy that has all those evil animal spirits haunting him basically, I think. So yeah. Guess we're going to see how that plays out in the next episode, in which I'm going to guess that the ex-Yukasa guy or whatever he is going to have some kind of role in dealing with all those animal spirits haunting him or whatever. So, eh. But next up, Mushoku Tensei, which starts off with Hitogami once again, and he basically just gives Brutus advice on how to find Lilia and Aisha. Though of course he explains it in a very vague way, because of course. But I'm pretty sure Hitogami basically understands exactly what Brutus is actually going to do, even with vague information. So yeah. After that, Brutus dead ends, arriving in the capital of the Shirone Kingdom, which is Roxy's home, and Brutus runs into Aisha after following the instructions from Hitogami, basically. Saves her, and yeah. Has to use an alias when talking to her, because can't let her know that he is her older brother. Because she knows he's a pervert and can't trust him. All because she found Brutus's holy treasure, Roxy's panties. Yeah. Aisha is very smart for her age, that is for sure. And also, after all that, nice little cute thing with Aries nomming on Aisha's hair while they're sleeping. Nice little cute thing there to mention, I guess. So, yeah. But in that morning there, one of the guards comes to pick up Brutus to escort him to the castle to meet Roxy, which of course Roxy isn't there because Brutus is just assuming that she is. And he of course walks into a super obvious trap. Seriously, how many times do people have to give their weapons to someone else? It's like, that is completely unnecessary. Why do people keep doing this? And also, Brutus, how many times is it going to take before you learn to stop going somewhere by yourself? Because every single time you've done that, you kind of have gotten trapped. So, yeah. But this whole trap is basically there because Pax wants to use Brutus as bait to lure Roxy to him, in which of course is completely stupid considering he's already had Lilia there for who knows how long, really, I guess. And Roxy hasn't showed up for her because, yeah, Roxy has no idea what's going on over here because Pax is stupid. He's not letting out any information to say that they are there. So yeah, Pax not really a threat, to be honest. But he's basically a very bad version of Brutus, if the same kind of version of Brutus, I guess, if he went in a completely bad direction, I guess, with the whole preferredness of that he has. But I guess with Brutus being captured, Gertrude will get to storm a castle like he said he is basically going to do, considering he, yeah, hasn't stormed the castle in ages. So, yeah, guess Red Drew gets to storm a castle again. Good for him. But that's the end of what I have to say about Mushoku Tensei here. So, a slow life anime for this season. Red and Ritz get a double bet. And of course, merely go to using it. And yeah, it was leading up to something until they got cockblocked by Al walking around at night. Eh, whatever. Seriously, Al, why did you have to ruin something so great that was about to happen? Whatever. Moving on. The actual plot for the when it comes to the actual story, I guess. Big Hawk basically made a contract with a contract demon, Bial, or however you pronounce his name, which apparently in the source materials a sexy demon basically. But in the anime is basically just this weird goat. So yeah, don't understand what's going on there, why that was changed. But eh, okay, I guess. But this basically ended this whole arc, I guess, when it comes to the whole drug problem that was going on. Which mostly basically just ends with Red cutting off Albert's hand when he goes to attack him. And at the end of the episode, Al goes off on his first adventure as an adventurer. And watching him leave, Red and Rit start apparently thinking about having kids already. And starting to think this relationship is starting to progress a bit too quickly all of a sudden, to be honest. But I'm not against it. And also, Red and Rit also got a hot tub, basically, in which, using it for the first time, I guess, Red finally actually confessed to Rit, saying that he loves her. So that finally happened, and I guess it's kind of a good thing Alcock blocked him earlier, considering it makes it where he confessed before doing the deed. I guess that's a nice thing. So, whatever. And one last thing that we got right at the end, before the episode ended with Albert and Bial, which have apparently already managed to make it to the Heroes Party's camp. Which, of course, Ruti doesn't really welcome them, considering she has a sword pointed at them and everything. But seriously, how did they get there so quickly? And also, why exactly do they want to be part of the Heroes Party or whatever? Really don't know. Guess they'll be explained in the future. So, yeah. Moving on to the Assassin Isekai anime that we have for this season, which starts off with Maha protecting the other girls from some thugs that went to attack them and try and get money from them and everything. Just normal thugs that, yeah. Maha is badass. So, yeah. Following that, Lucas ended his little 2 years of being a merchant to set up that false identity and everything, so he's leaving Mieruko, or however we pronounce that, because I honestly do not know, and also basically leaving Orino, his company, to Maha while he's gone, in which she apparently is planning to buy her father, the first store that her father opens, kind of taking back her family business or whatever. And of course, when Luke does get back home, her mother greets him at the door and immediately starts snipping him a lot. Like normal, I guess. Considering this is Luke's mom we're talking about, and yeah, I guess it's normal. In which, of course, after that, Luke goes to his father to talk about his whole mission and everything with the whole false identity of a merchant, in which we his father apparently had him do that basically as a fallback for when he if he doesn't want to be an assassin, or some if he doesn't want to be an assassin, he can go to that life as a merchant, or it can basically just be a fallback if he ever needs it or something. So, yeah, good father, that's for sure. And also, during that conversation, Luke tells his father that he's in love with Dia and plans to marry her, which he needs to be a noble to actually do that, so kind of has to stay an assassin to do that, basically. So, apparently, Luke is actually in love with Dia. Okay, but yeah, um, that's basically all the anime I actually have to talk about so far this week. So, I guess moving on to stage games, which I basically haven't really played at all this week, considering just continued playing Devious World, which just HTML game, tons of text, not much else, and then like a few hours ago I got around to playing the Now and Then update. So yeah, starting off with Devious World, I guess, in which I got through all of science content at the library with both the game books and novels, which the novels basically don't really have that much content at all, to be honest. But the game novels do have it quite a bit to be it's really. And out of what's there available in the game novels, one that easily has the most content in it is the monk. Which is a bit surprising considering why is it the monk? It's like I don't think that's like a popular D&D class or whatever. I don't really know considering I honestly don't care about D&D personally. I just don't really get it, I guess. But when it comes to the content for the monk, my favorite things, which is kind of my favorite stuff for everything for the game books there at the library. First one, basically, sticking with those first adventures you come across when you get to the city and everything after that point, basically. And then also going to the other group adventurers when you get to that city that have a better plan, which I'm not exactly sure if I can really say that they do actually have a better plan considering what content's available there. So, yeah. But besides that, one other one that I honestly quite like myself, which is kind of the most annoying one to actually get to because it requires sticking with Jackson as long as you can. And once you get to Badgerback, who's offering you dinner, basically, you accept that, which is the only choice actually available currently. And when you go to head back to him, you take the shortcut going through the forest, which is basically not going to Badgerback, considering it's the most dangerous route, not the safe way, so you of course have other things popping up. So run from the wolf monster or whatever it is, and then once you get to this succubus, just don't be stupid, because succubus. And then we meet Jaina, which is basically hunting uh, demons, basically like succubuses, in which basically doing it for religion and everything, which basically is against all the demons, kind of, because it's unworldly. But honestly, that religion she follows is probably the best religion I have ever heard of. And personally, I would call it the common sense religion. It's just be happy. That's the main thing. Be happy. Do things that will make you happy. That's the religion. And just don't make other people unhappy intentionally. Don't intentionally make other people unhappy and do things that make yourself happy. That's the religion, basically. It's like, that's the best religion I've ever heard of. Seriously, and this from an adult game. What in the world's going on? But that's basically all of my favorite content for the month there, which is the majority of the content that's actually available there. But, yeah. Next one would be Warrior, I guess. So, one with the second most content is basically between the Warrior, Rogue, or the Monstrous Species. It's one of those with the next most content. Guess y'all kind of have the same amount, I think. Hard to judge, to be honest. But next one to talk about is the Warrior, I guess. Which there's not really that much in the way of choices at the beginning, because all the other choices haven't actually been written. But first choice that you actually get, you basically just need to tell Astoriel that you've been isekai and all that stuff, and then run away, approach the other group of adventurers that you spot, in which are all basically a ragtag group that have all basically left their own groups like you did. So yeah, all the content is basically from that point there is what I like when it comes to Warrior. Ending with King Wick, which is personally the favorite, and when it comes to one other choice available there, going down the Beastman route when it comes to what you attack. So, King Wick. So, next, the Rogue, which basically only really has one route available for it, to be honest, which is decent, I guess. But I'm not really going to comment on it that much, so moving on to the monstrous species, basically. Monstrous player characters, in which you can basically choose between a centaur, half-dragon, or thiefling. Starting off with the centaur, which you can choose between just being a female centaur or a female centaur. Female one doesn't actually really have any content, just the female one, which kind of splits up a bit. Majority of the content actually involves staying with the horses when you get to that option, in which personally I don't really like. So, insisting on staying with others in the camp, personally, that's the favorite content I have there, personally. But besides that, there's not that much content for the centaur there. The half-dragon honestly really doesn't have any content either. But then you get to this thiefling, which has 3 different types of thieflings, which is Oni, which isn't a fable. And then this one that I honestly have no idea how to really pronounce it correctly, but I'll try my best. Rakashasha, or however you actually pronounce that, which honestly there's kind of only really 2 paths when it comes to what's available for that one. When you get to the adventurers, considering that's the only way you can actually go, is going to those adventurers, you get 2 choices. Talk to them, or basically is dominate person skill, which leads to you enslaving them. So I honestly kind of really don't like that, considering I did read that after talking to them. So I kind of already got into like those characters, so reading that one afterwards, it's not really very enjoyable for me at all. But yeah, talking to them, another 2 choices, basically just become another part of the party there, or you could charm the pants off them, which basically allows you to kind of romance one of the characters. Vera being the only one that actually has any contents there, to be honest. In which I will say that little story that is available right there, right now, is very wholesome. Nice, wholesome romance, which is not very common in the game, and when I do come across those, it's honestly very enjoyable for me considering I like vanilla romance and all that. So, it's always nice when I find those in this game. But yeah, easily my most favorite part for that when it comes to Thief Links. But one last one, Thief Link that I haven't talked about yet, is a succubus, which, to be honest, really doesn't have any content. There is something there, but it's not really that much. So, moving on. So, yeah. Monsters player characters done. Next to mention is the Bard and Mage, which neither of them really have any content at all. It's just like first page or two or something. When it comes to choices there, I don't, or something, so yeah. And then there's, of course, lastly, Maggie Space, which does have a good amount of content, though personally I don't really like any of it that's currently available, so yeah. Especially considering the fact that all that contents there is kind of just a bunch of branching paths, kind of, that don't really go very far, to be honest. But yeah, that's basically everything I have to say when it comes to Devious Worlds. So, moving on to Now and Then, which is the last thing I have to talk about for this video. Chapter 22 has been released. It starts off with you learning that Hannah lied to you at the end of the previous chapter about having permission from Carol, because she did not actually talk to Carol. So, yeah, that stirred up some trauma there. And later on, like the next day or something in the game, I think, Naomi's on the beach. And one of the raiders, Summerlin, comes along and kind of starts attacking her when she finds her there. Thankfully, Carol was right there. Thankfully. With her bow and arrows. And kills him. After shooting 3 arrows into him. So, good job, Carol. You're now on. Your body count is now on 2, I think? So, good job, Carol. And basically, after that, Hannah kind of starts trying to fix the problems she's caused, and also starts trying to be a bit more helpful a bit, while also removing the barricades at the front gates with your help, basically, if you actually do help her there, considering that's a choice you can make or not. So, yeah, help her there, kind of deal with that. After kind of dealing with all of that stuff, in the morning, on the third day, I think, in this update, McCarty shows up as asking to see you to basically tell you that one of the farms has been attacked by raiders, that and that they killed everyone on that farm except for one person that they left to basically send a message. So yeah, he's also realized that his granddaughter Emmy has been missing, in which previous event the other chapter, oh, we know exactly what happened, considering you and McCarty go off looking for Emmy, find her, and see that she's infected. McCarty can't do anything, so you have to shoot her when she starts attacking. So yeah, rip Emmy. Not very nice. Let's see all that, considering she was a good girl. We only had like 1 or 2 interactions with her, in the recent chapters, but we know she was a good girl. And it's honestly bad seeing that happen. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sydney, Julie, and her son, Kenny, are leaving the military camp that they've been staying in when shit hits the fan, considering kind of can't stay there any longer. So they start heading off to try and get to where you are now. And once they get to the hotel that you and the other girls stayed at that first night, I think, while they're there, Sydney goes up, talks to Julie, and telling her that she is pregnant. If you got down that route for her. So yeah, next chapter. So next chapter will be chapter 23, or maybe in chapter 24. I think Sydney and Julie will possibly meet up with you and the other girls, I guess, as they're heading to White Oak to meet up with you. But yeah, into the chapter. Gunshots in the distance. Don't know exactly what's going on there, but it can't be anything good. But it's not as bad of a cliffhanger as the previous chapter, I guess. Maybe because we don't actually know what's going on. Because previous chapter we knew exactly what happened with that cliffhanger. This time around, it's just gunshots in the distance as far as we know. We don't know anything else. So, my opinion, better cliffhanger. So, yeah. Don't have anything else to talk about. Actually, wait. One more thing to mention for now and then. All four girls that are with you, of course, get one more age scene. Alice, Naomi, Carol, and Hannah. All four of them get a new age scene in this one, in the order that I did listed them in right there. So yeah, now I'm done talking about this now and then, and also finished with this episode. So yeah, hopefully this whole new setup for editing and everything is better. And I honestly hope when I'm editing this, it doesn't take absolutely forever to actually do all the editing for this. So yeah, that there is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.